Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Oliver,
And I'm Lily.
and this is Science in Easy English.
Today we are asking a question that, well, it sounds simple, but it is actually incredibly complicated.
It really is, isn't it?
Why do we sleep?
I mean, think about it. We spend roughly a third of our entire lives asleep. A third. If you live to be 90, that's 30 years just gone, unconscious.
And for all that time we put in, scientists still list the function of sleep as one of the 125 greatest unsolved mysteries.
That's wild. It's up there with, like, how did the universe begin?
Exactly. And for a long time, we just thought, it's a simple recharge, like plugging in your phone.
Right, you run down, you plug in, you wake up at 100%.
But the reality is this whole mix of theories, everything from taking out the cellular trash to it being some kind of ancient safety measure.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to look at the big ideas: restoration, plasticity, and the evolutionary angle.
And we have to get into the practical stuff like sleep debt and how it all connects to, how long we live.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start with the theory that I think makes the most sense to me. The idea that my brain is just tired and needs a good wash.
That is actually a very scientific way to put it. It falls right under the restoration and detox theory.
And this goes way back, doesn't it? I was reading about a theory from 1909, something called hypnotoxin.
Yes, by Ishimori and Piron. It sounds like something from a comic book.
It really does. Beware the hypnotoxin.
But their idea was that just being awake produces this toxin, and as it builds up, you get sleepier. Then sleep comes along and cleans it out.
Simple. But for a long time, that was just seen as a myth, right?
It was, but it turns out they were onto something. We now know about a molecule called adenosine.
Right, adenosine, the sleep pressure molecule. How does that work? Is it literally a poison?
Think of it like exhaust fumes. Your brain runs on energy, on ATP. Every time a neuron fires, you burn that fuel. And adenosine is the byproduct. It's what's left over.
So the longer I'm awake, the more of this chemical exhaust just piles up in my brain.
Precisely. And that creates sleep pressure. It's a chemical signal that it's time to shut down. Then when you sleep, your brain clears it all away.
But it's not just the adenosine, is it? This is where it gets really interesting for me, the glymphatic system.
Yes, this was a huge breakthrough. The brain has its own plumbing system, its own waste clearance crew.
And I love the analogy of a power wash.
It really is. And here's the key part. It only really works when you're asleep. When you go into deep sleep, your brain cells actually shrink.
Wait, they shrink?
They do. They reduce in size, and that increases the space between them by up to 60%.
Wow.
And that allows fluid to just flush through and wash out all the toxic metabolic waste.
So when I'm awake, everything is swollen and tight, blocking the flow. But when I sleep, it opens up the highways for the cleaning crew.
You got it. A power wash that only works when the system is powered down.
And we're not just talking about random gunk here. We're talking about specific proteins, like amyloid and tau.
Correct. And that's the really high stakes part of this. Those are the proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's and dementia.
So if you don't sleep enough, you're not flushing them out. They just stick around and build up.
It reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? It's not a luxury. It's essential biological maintenance. But cleanings is only one theory. There's another huge idea that sleep is the price we pay for learning.
This is the plasticity argument.
Right. It's often called the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, or SHY.
Synaptic homeostasis. Okay, that's a mouthful. Break that down for us.
Well, when you're awake, you're learning. You're making new memories, new connections between your neurons. Your brain is constantly wiring itself up.
Okay, so it's connecting the dots all day long.
And that's very expensive energy-wise. If you just kept adding connections, your brain would get saturated. It would be too loud.
So sleep is like noise-canceling headphones.
Kind of. The SHY theory says sleep performs synaptic downscaling. It goes in and weakens the less important connections you made.
It's like weeding a garden.
Exactly. You keep the important memories, the flowers, but you pull out the weeds to make space for new learning the next day. The researchers said sleep is the price the brain pays for plasticity.
But hold on. This theory depends on having a complex brain that's learning things. I was looking at this study about jellyfish.
Ah, yes, the Cassiopeia jellyfish.
These things don't even have a brain, just a nerve net. But the study says they sleep.
They do. They go into a dormant state, their pulsing slows way down, and if you keep them awake all night, they're tired the next day.
So if a jellyfish needs sleep, it can't just be about complex memories, can it?
That's the brilliant insight. It suggests sleep evolved hundreds of millions of years ago, probably for something much more basic.
Which was?
DNA repair. It turns out that just being awake, even for a jellyfish, causes physical damage, little breaks in the DNA of your neurons.
Being awake literally breaks your DNA.
It seems so. The metabolic stress of being on causes damage. And sleep is the necessary downtime for your cells to go in and repair that genetic code.
So it's about keeping the basic machinery from just falling apart.
Which brings us to our third big theory. If sleep is so vital, why is it so incredibly dangerous?
This is the evolutionary angle, and I've always wondered about this. If I'm a gazelle, lying unconscious for 8 hours just seems like an open invitation to a lion.
It's a huge risk. You can't run, you can't fight.
So why didn't we evolve to just sleep with, like, half our brain at a time? I know some animals do that.
They do. It's called inhemispheric sleep. Dolphins and some birds do it so they can keep moving or breathing.
So why not us? I'd get so much more done.
This leads to the adaptive inactivity theory. The idea is that sleep isn't a vulnerability, it's a survival strategy. It's about efficiency.
To save energy.
To save energy and to stay out of trouble. Look at a lion. Top of the food chain, eats a high-calorie diet.
Right. They can get all their calories in one short hunt. And they sleep, what, 18 hours a day?
A lot. Now compare that to an elephant. It's an herbivore. It has to eat low-calorie plants constantly just to survive.
And they sleep.
How much?
About 2 hours.
2 hours, that's barely a nap.
Because if they slept more, they'd starve. The theory is that sleep keeps you efficient and safe. For our ancestors, sleeping through the dark night was safer than stumbling around, burning calories, and running into a predator.
So we've got three big ideas. We sleep to clean the brain, to fix our DNA and memories, and to stay safe and efficient.
And it's probably a combination of all three. But since we're on the topic of our ancestors, we need to bust a major myth.
Oh, the natural sleep myth. That we're supposed to sleep from dusk till dawn like 10 or 12 hours.
That's the common belief. But a 2015 study looked at modern hunter-gatherer tribes, people living without electricity.
And how much do they sleep?
Roughly 6 to 8 hours.
Wait, really? That's what we aim for now.
It is, and they do not go to sleep at sunset. They stay up for about 3 hours after the sun goes down.
Doing what?
Socializing, cooking by the fire, telling stories. Huh. But what about their sleep quality?
This is the kicker. Insomnia rates in those groups are around 2%.
2%.
Yeah.
In industrial societies, it's like 10 to 30%.
It suggests our sleep duration hasn't changed, but our quality and consistency have taken a massive hit.
Which brings us to the health impact. We've got some data from Dr. Tony Masri, and this is where the numbers get a bit scary.
Yeah, he talks about a U-shaped curve for mortality risk.
Meaning both too little and too much or bad.
Exactly. We know that sleeping less than 7 hours increases your long-term risk by about 12%.
Okay, that makes sense. But the other side.
Sleeping more than 9 hours regularly is associated with a 30% increased risk.
Wait, so sleeping too much is correlated with a worse outcome?
It is. Now, there could be other factors. People might sleep a lot because they're already sick, but the sweet spot seems to be that 7 to 8 hour mark.
And you said regularly. Dr. Masri made a big point about regularity, didn't he?
A huge point. He said the body craves a rhythm, like a metronome.
I like that. We're not random, we're clocks.
And the data suggests regularity might be even more important than how long you sleep. Irregular sleep-wake cycles, 6 a.m. on weekdays, noon on weekends, that can increase all-cause mortality risk by as much as 40%.
40%? That is massive.
It really is. It creates what's called social jet lag. And Dr. Masri has a simple test. He says if you need an alarm to wake up,
You're sleep deprived.
by definition, your body wasn't done yet. And if you sleep in more than an hour on weekends, that's a sure sign of sleep debt.
Which leads to the big question. Can you bank sleep? Can I run on fumes all week and just hibernate on Saturday to fix it?
The sleep banking debate. The verdict is mostly no. I'm sorry.
Give me the bad news.
Think of sleep debt like financial debt. If you lose 1 hour of sleep Monday to Friday, you owe 5 hours.
Okay.
Sleeping 1 extra hour on Saturday.
Yeah.
That doesn't even touch the principal. You're still in the hole.
So you can't just pay it back in one lump sum.
Not without creating that social jet lag we just talked about. You're constantly shifting your body's time zone, and that causes its own damage.
So the consensus is you can't really pay it back easily. The only solution is to not get into debt in the first place.
Exactly.
Well, that's easier said than done. But okay, let's wrap this up. We've gone from jellyfish repairing their DNA,
To the brain scrubbing out Alzheimer's proteins,
from the evolutionary logic of lions napping,
to our own ancestors staying up late by the fire, And we've learned that regularity is king. Being a metronome is the best thing you can do.
It really makes you look at your pillow differently.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought. Remember that hypnotoxin theory from 1909?
The idea that being awake poisons you.
Yes. For a century, we thought it was just a quirky old myth. But when you combine the adenosine buildup, the DNA damage, the metabolic waste, it turns out it's literally true.
How so?
Being awake is physiologically damaging. It produces a kind of poison that accumulates every single hour you're conscious.
That's a heavy thought.
It reframes sleep, though. It's not a luxury. It's the biological antidote you have to take every single night. If you don't take the cure, the damage stays.
Well, on that note, I think I'm going to go set a very consistent bedtime.
A wise choice.
Thanks for listening to Science in Easy English.
Goodbye, everyone.